The Rockets are looking for a new coach and a new front office. Daryl Morey has just stepped down, and I wouldn't be surprised if this triggers a full-on rebuild in Houston. James Harden doesn't want to spend his last prime years in a chaotic situation. In this video, we'll talk about if it was smart to move on from Daryl Morey and what Houston should do next, a full rebuild, or pair another star with Harden because a report says they want Joel Embiid. Hey, it's Casey. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells for 5 videos per week. And it's crazy to think at one time I wondered what I was going to do for content when there weren't actual games going on. There is more than enough news coming out. Trade rumors coming out every other day, like Russell Westbrook to the Knicks. The Miami Heat are going to go all in on Giannis in free agency, which we knew already. And then today's bombshell that Daryl Morey has stepped down from Houston. And first off, we should have seen this coming. Morey sent out that tweet about Hong Kong before the season that lost the league and the Rockets millions of dollars. The Rockets lost early in the playoffs yet again, but make no mistake, Morey will be out of work for like 2 seconds. He's one of the smartest team builders in the league. While other teams beg for big names to sign with him, Morey gets things done. 2012, trade for James Harden. 2013, signed Dwight Howard. 2016, Eric Gordon, Lou Williams. 2017, Chris Paul. 2019, Russell Westbrook. Boring teams like the Suns, Magic, or Cavaliers would die to have Daryl Morey. Or he could just take a media job because he has great relationships with the media and wait for the perfect situation. This also cements that Tillman Fertitta is an awful NBA team owner. I wasn't sure after he bought the team what to say. Oh, never mind, actually, he tells us what to say in his book. Shut up and listen. Seems like a great dude. In his first 2+ years, the Rockets have been worse in the playoffs since when he bought them. He made the team worse by getting rid of Trevor Ariza and Luke Mbah because he couldn't afford to pay the luxury tax. And now this. The report said that Morey stepped down, but Fertitta being the owner has everything to do with it. I'm really afraid for Rockets fans that they are now the dysfunctional team with a bad owner, like the Sacramento Kings or the New York Knicks. Teams that just wander around in mediocrity and chaos begging that the team owner sells, which actually might happen. Fertitta just took out a $300 million loan to keep his restaurant business alive. But with Daryl Morey gone, the Rockets now have to decide what direction they'll go in. Morey was all about winning titles through transactions like trades and signings, not building through the draft. Now the Rockets' philosophy is up in the air. Their 3 options going forward are: number 1, to run it back with the same roster that they had this year, pairing Russell Westbrook with James Harden and microball. Number 2, move Westbrook to pair yet another star with James Harden. Or number 3, go into a full rebuild. Now let's take a look at how they could pull off all 3 scenarios. Obviously, scenario number 1 is the easiest. You just run it back. The hope here would be that Russ had such a bad postseason in the bubble because he was recovering from injury and coronavirus. They would pray to God that another year of chemistry and a healthy Westbrook would do damage in the playoffs. But even God's not that good. Westbrook and Harden were both an awkward fit, dominating the ball. They had to trade Clint Capella to play PJ Tucker at center because Russ couldn't shoot. They will not win running it back in a stacked Western Conference, especially with Golden State getting healthy. I think option 1 is a horrible idea. Option 2 is to trade Russ for another star to pair with James Harden. The problem, Russell Westbrook has no trade value. No one wants a guy who just shot 40% from the field, 24% from 3, and 50% from the line in the playoffs, making $130 million the next 3 years. Even though, yes, they want Joel Embiid, the Rockets would have to send a lot back to Philly. One wild 3-team trade that actually works is this. The Rockets get Embiid and Mike Scott to make the money work. The Sixers get Russell Westbrook, Buddy Hield, and 3 first-round picks. Plus, the Kings get Robert Covington and Josh Richardson. Okay, a lot to unpack here. The Sixers' new starting lineup is Russell Westbrook, Buddy Hield, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Al Horford. Westbrook's defense is suspect, but not as bad with a Defensive Player of the Year candidate on the court in Simmons. Reports said that Buddy Hield wants to go to Philly anyway. This trade gets him there. The Kings replaced Hield with Covington, who shoots well with better defense on a cheaper contract. Josh Richardson was moved in this deal for financial purposes, but Philly got 2 Kings first-round picks for their trouble. The Rockets get their wish, pairing Joel Embiid with James Harden. That improves their defense and gives the Rockets another star to run their offense through. And scenario number 3 is doing a full rebuild, which I actually think could happen. The Rockets promoted a guy named Rafael Stone to run their front office. We don't know how talented this guy is. I mean, he wasn't even involved in any other GM rumors for other teams. And they're looking for a new coach. This is a chaotic franchise, and James Harden could easily want to trade. That, combined with the rumor that the Knicks are interested in Russell Westbrook, means a trade like this makes sense. Taj Gibson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and 6 first-round picks to the Rockets for Harden and Westbrook. Here's why this trade costs a historic amount of picks. The Paul George trade cost 5 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and a young talented player because Kawhi Leonard came too. In this trade, Harden is an MVP still in his prime, and RJ Barrett / Mitchell Robinson are not as talented as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Rockets do this to go in full rebuild mode. They begin with the number 8 overall pick in this year's draft, and they punt on the entire James Harden experience. Look, they paired lots of all-stars with him over the years. Nothing worked. They tried. The Knicks do this to take Harden and Westbrook's game to the Eastern Conference with Tom Thibodeau as their head coach. They are surrounded by shooters, and their little fashion shows just fit better in America's fashion capital. By the way, that exact trade will be in tomorrow's video, which was supposed to be today's video before the breaking news. And in that video, I also have a 3-team trade that brings a young superstar to Houston for them to keep winning. But the bottom line in all this is Rockets fans should be horrified by today's news. There's no question that they are worse off than when Tillman Fertitta bought them, and the Rockets are now a dysfunctional franchise. Whichever team hires Daryl Morey will be lucky. There was no reason the Rockets should have been this relevant for the last 10 years, but they have been because of him. They pushed the Warriors to a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals when every other team was too scared to challenge Golden State. There wasn't a championship, but Morey did give Houston basketball fans a great decade. They saw one of the biggest trades in NBA history for James Harden. They won the biggest free agent in 2013 in Dwight Howard, when normally only LA or Miami does that. They got a great few years with Chris Paul too. Being a Rockets fan was fun while Daryl Morey was running the team. It's too bad Morey's time in Houston didn't end in the title, because I think he is a really smart front office guy. But now he's gone, and I think a lot more change is coming to Houston. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.